we are so back.
Things just got really interesting.
No way you said that. I am re-entering my Disney bookish era. I know this is how a lot of you guys found me here on YouTube, but I'll be honest, since I've returned, I wasn't really planning on creating any more Disney book videos. The reason is simple, I just haven't really been wanting to pick up those books. I think my reading taste has evolved and I didn't want to be creating content that didn't feel genuine. I just want to be reading things that I'm gonna enjoy, and I didn't think that would be the case with the Disney books that I used to read. It might just be that I read too much in a short period of time, but I have just not been wanting to pick up those books at all. So I wasn't planning on creating any more Disney book videos. But for some reason, this week, I'm in the mood to read Disney books again. So I thought, you know what? Let's vlog it. So this week I will be reading books that are not part of the Twisted Tale or the Villain series, and obviously bringing you guys along for the experience. So the first book that I'll be reading is Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren. This is part of the Meant to Be series, which is a series of standalone contemporary romances that retell some famous Disney stories. This one is obviously a Rapunzel or Tangled retelling, and I am very excited because it's one of my favorite Disney movies. And so I'm curious because I tend to enjoy Christina Lauren. So I'm curious to see what they will do with this story. I have no idea what it's about. I think they're in college, so I'm not too sure what the actual story is, but I think it's set in a college setting, which I usually really enjoy. I guess we have to read it and see. I am 91 pages into Tangled Up in You, and I now have a better idea of what the book is about. So the story is following Wren, who is our Rapunzel. She's very isolated from the outside world. She's been raised on this farm. Her parents don't want her to know anything about the rest of the world, so she doesn't know modern technology. She doesn't really interact with anyone else outside of her family. And now Wren, at the age of 22, is going to college for the very first time. It's her first time being in a school setting because she's been homeschooled since then. And at college, Wren ends up meeting with Fitz, who is this very charismatic student who's very well known across campus for, yes, his charms, his looks, but also his great grades. The two strike an unlikely alliance when Wren discovers something about herself that makes her want to go on this road trip, and then Fitz is already going on a quest on his own. So they're teaming up together to ride across the country to their destination. And so far, I have reached a point where they started the road trip. So I'm only in the very early stages of the book. I don't really have a lot of thoughts so far. It's lighthearted, it's fun, but I'm not really connecting with either of the characters. It might just be that it's too early, but I don't really see myself caring about these characters the way that I sometimes connect with characters in a romance story. So far I can see the way that their relationship might grow and evolve, but it's not really tugging at my heartstrings, if that makes sense. That being said, I do see the parallels with the Tangled story. I love seeing the way that the authors have managed to integrate that into the real world, like into a contemporary setting. It's fun to see how that can take place and how that can shape up to be something that's still realistic considering the premise of Tangled. But yeah, so far it's off to a great start. I don't know that I would love this one as much as I did If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy in the same series, but it sounds fun, and I trust Christina Lauren. Usually they know what they're doing, so I have a feeling that I might end up loving this more the more I read. So we're just gonna get back to reading. Okay, so I just finished reading Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren, and this was unexpectedly good. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to like this one nearly as much as I did, but I got really involved in the story. I think at first I got thrown off by the fact that it was kind of cringy. It felt like the dialogue and just the overall story was headed in a kind of cheesy, cringy direction, but it kind of makes sense considering that Wren has been isolated her whole life. She doesn't know how to interact with people, how to have normal conversations. She doesn't know what the real world looks like. like. And so it made sense that this was the way her character was interacting with other people, but it kind of developed into something that I kind of look back upon fondly because she grew as a character, she grew as a person, she experienced the world for what it was and found herself within that. One of the things that I loved the most about this story is the parallels with the movie. There were so many scenes that I didn't realize how seamlessly they managed to integrate the movie into this book, meaning that there were scenes that I was like, oh my god, this was so good because it reminded me so much of the movie, and then I realized that it was taken from the movie and had been twisted to fit the contemporary setting. And so I think they did an amazing job retelling the story of Tangled here. It blended so seamlessly with the contemporary world. I just loved what they did with the story overall. I will say the ending gets really intense and you kind of don't expect it because the rest of the story is lighthearted and breezy, but it is aligned with the movie, meaning that it makes sense given what we know about the Tangled universe, but it kind of sweeps you off your feet. You kind of don't expect the carpet to be pulled right from under you. You kind of follow Ren as her entire world unravels. As a reader, you kind of feel the same way, and I'll be honest, I was not expecting that, but I think it was a great ending. Like, I did not see that coming, and it really kept me engaged until the end. So overall, I'm giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. There are 3 other books that I have not read yet. Well, 2 and 1 that is coming out later on this year. So I will definitely be checking out the rest because I really enjoyed If the Shoe Fits, which was book 1 in that series. And now this one, I really enjoyed as well. So I'm assuming that I might enjoy the rest as well, given how so far it's been amazing. All right, so I have selected my next read and it's going to be Scarred by Emily McIntyre. This is a Lion King retelling or a Hamlet retelling for the purists among you, but this one focuses on Mufasa and Scar, kind of like the live action movie that came out recently now that I think about it. Anyway, it is a dark royal romance and it has kind of a love triangle involved as well. It is part of the Never After series, which is a series that gives the villains their happy endings. And I did enjoy the first book in that series that I've read, which was Hooked. It was fine, but it wasn't my favorite, so I'm really curious to see what the author will do with this story, especially because I've never read a Lion King retelling, so I'm really intrigued by the whole premise. I already love Tristan, who's our Scar in the story. Oh, and the book is set in 1910. Super intriguing. I thought it was modern day. I guess not. I am 40% of the way through Scarred by Emily McIntyre, and so far I would say that I'm enjoying it. The story follows Sarah, who is set to marry King Michael. The thing is, Sarah is not doing it because she wants to be a queen. Sarah is doing it because she wants to avenge her father's death by killing or being the undoing of the new king. But we also have a dual perspective because we're also following Tristan, who has the same goal. Tristan is the Scar of the story, so he's been wanting the throne for himself for a while, and he's been rebelling but in secret, and we have reached a point in the kingdom where the rebellion is getting bigger, but no one knows who is orchestrating the whole thing except for Tristan, obviously, and the rebels themselves. So far, it's super interesting. I love the dual perspectives because they both have the same end goal, but neither of them know that the other person is trying to achieve the same thing as them, being killing the king. So I really love the dark and twisted turns that this has taken so far. I will say it's a really slow burn. You can tell that there's kind of a bit of a romance between Sarah and Tristan, even though Sarah is set to marry the king Michael. There's a tension, like there's attraction between Tristan and Sarah, and it's very interesting to see them try to fight their feelings for one another because they both know that the other person will just get in their way of what they actually want. But yeah, so far very intrigued by this. It is dark. I will say it's a dark romance, and it's not something that I read regularly. It's actually a genre that I haven't found myself very much so gravitating towards because it tends to be a little bit too intense for my taste sometimes. This one is not too bad. I think because I knew that diving into it, it kind of tamed my expectations or just made me a little bit more aware and made me enjoy the ride more. I am curious to see how this will unravel because I will be honest, so far it's been very character driven. There hasn't been a lot happening plot wise. Like there's a lot of political scheming, but there hasn't been a lot of moving the story along. Like the only things that have truly happened is that Sarah is officially engaged to the king and there have been some encounters between Tristan and Sarah. But aside from that, like nothing much has really happened. So I am curious to see if the story will remain a little bit more tame plot wise and being more focused on the characters, or if everything will unravel really quickly in the second half of the book. But yeah, so far, not bad.
Things just got really interesting.
I ain't afraid of the dark. 'Cause once you let the light in, you won't see the beautiful stars shining down from afar. No, I ain't afraid of the dark.
I have just finished reading Scar by Emily McIntyre and I actually quite enjoyed it. I am not a dark romance girly by any means, but this really surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. I thought the plot, like the overall story arc, was really well thought out. The pacing was perfect. It was very character driven, but I found that I didn't mind all of the political plotting. And overall, this is a solid retelling. There were a lot of parallels with The Lion King, especially towards the end. I really like the way that the author wrapped everything up. Overall, it's gonna be a 3.5 stars for me, and not because I didn't like it. I think objectively I would give it a 4, but if I'm just talking about my enjoyment level, I'm still not a dark romance girly, and while this was good, it still isn't my cup of tea per se. Though I can recognize that it was well written, that it did what it had to do, but for me, it stands as a 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it more than the first book in the series, which was Hooked. I gave that one 3 stars, so I think 3.5 is deserving for this one. The one thing that really irked me, especially towards the latter half, is the sex scenes. In this one, I don't know why, they just made me so uncomfortable. I think it was the language used. I don't know if it's the dark romance part of things, but I just wasn't a big fan. I had visceral reactions of like, several times. I just did not like that. I was kind of skimming through those, to be completely honest. Like the language that was used made me just retch, honestly. It just made me super uncomfortable. Like I don't want to read about abused holes or like spongy parts. I just am not into all of that language. And so that for me kind of did not work. But other than that, this was a solid retelling. I would say if you're a dark romance girly, I think you might really like this. This was by far the most enjoyable dark romance that I've read. I've read a few and I can say that they're not for me, but this one, it worked. I feel like it was just dark enough for a non-dark romance girly like me to enjoy while still dipping my toe into the genre, you know? Next, we're gonna change the pace a little bit and read an upper YA/new adult fantasy. It's the first in a series called Entangled with Fae, and it's called Curse of the Wolf King by Tessanja Hodet. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing the author's name. I'm really sorry if that's the case. This one is Beauty and the Beast retelling. All that I know is that it's the first in a series of, I guess, Disney inspired or just fairy tale retellings, and I am quite curious because I've heard good things about that series, but I've never read anything from it. So we're gonna start with the first one. They're all standalones, so if you don't want to read the Beauty and the Beast retelling, but you'd be interested in the Sleeping Beauty one, for instance, can totally do that. The author even says so on the Amazon listing. So I'm excited. I'm a Beauty and the Beast fan, as we know, so this is something that I'm quite looking forward to. I don't know anything about the plot yet, so I will get reading and then we can discuss. Currently 40% of the way through Curse of the Wolf King, and so far I'm really enjoying it. The book is following Gemma, who is our belle in this book. Her and her family just moved to the Winter Court after a scandal happened in their old town, and now Gemma wants nothing but her independence. She wants to be going off doing her own thing, but it's kind of seen as odd in this society where women are married off and seen as property. So when the opportunity arises to strike a deal with a fae, Gemma jumps at the opportunity. The deal goes as follows. Gemma will help the king break his curse, but in exchange he has to give her enough money to become financially independent. So far, I'm really enjoying the story. I will say that that the premise, while it's super interesting, I feel like the execution is not perfect. I find that sometimes we're forcing things to happen and it feels a little bit unnatural. It doesn't flow as easily as I would want it to. That being said, it's still very much fun. I will say my favorite part of this book so far is definitely Gemma as a character. She's strong-headed, she's funny, she's really a Belle. I feel like she might be a little bit more strong-willed than Belle is in the movie, but overall, I would say she reminds me a lot of Belle. She loves books. She feels like everyone in her new town is a little bit odd and she really goes against the tide. Overall, I just like her character. I find her character to be really funny. She's witty. I like the snide comments that she makes at other people, or sometimes the banter that she has with certain characters. I'm very much so enjoying her character so far, and I would say she's definitely my favorite part of this book. The king, on the other hand, I'm having a little bit of a hard time connecting with. I understand that so far we've just met him, so it's kind of a new thing, and obviously he's fae. He doesn't really loves to interact with humans, and I understand the whole thing. I find it hard to feel empathy for this character, and I feel like we would benefit from having chapters told from his perspective, but it's only the beginning. There's still time for me to warm up to him. The rest of the story is fine. I really love the setting. I find that it's an interesting way to set up this book. I love the fact that it's like set in a new town where there's like not a lot of people. It's like this new resort town that they're developing. And so there's a little bit of fae, but they're not really interacting with humans. And we're kind of learning about this world alongside Gemma, who is new to all of this. So I'm enjoying the whole lore and the whole world building. And I feel like there's so much opportunity for other books because they've told us that there are different courts. And so I feel like each book in this series will probably take place in different courts. I don't think they'll all take place in this one town. So I'm intrigued to see where things are going to go from here.
No way. You wouldn't say that to your daughter, right? What? No way you said that. I think we may stand the king now. No wonder you seek freedom. The banter. He is funny.
Hi, it's kind of late, which is why I'm trying not to be too loud because my dad is sleeping in the next room. But I did want to give you guys a reading update because I did finish reading Curse of the Wolf King by Tessanja Odette. And I'll be honest, I'm struggling with my reading because I really enjoyed the book. And I'm wondering if it's a 4-star or a 4.5 stars. In the end, I really love the way the author wrapped everything up. I love the way that the relationship between our two protagonists evolved. I really stand the king from that moment you saw me reading earlier on. I started to really like him as a character. And I feel like even though we didn't get his point of view, and I still stand by the fact that I think we would have benefited from knowing about what his thoughts and feelings were. I still enjoyed it a lot, and it's mostly due to our female main character, but I did open up and connect more to our male main character later on as the book continued. So overall, I think I'm going to land on a 4.5 because I feel like a 4 is too low. I don't know if a 4.5 is too high, but overall, I really liked it. As I said, I feel like some of the things earlier on didn't make as much sense, or it didn't flow as naturally in terms of the plot as I would have liked. But overall, I really enjoyed the book, and I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the series. The next book is going to be a Cinderella retelling, and it's following one of the characters that we meet in this first book. And so I have a feeling I'm really going to enjoy reading the rest of the series. So it's another series that we're adding to my list, but it is one that I think I'm going to enjoy. And on the plus side, they're all available on Kindle Unlimited, so I can read them for free. I don't have to go ahead and buy a physical copy, though I might because I really liked it and the covers are really pretty for this series. But overall, it was a solid retelling. Really liked how it turned out, and I would highly recommend it if you guys are looking for a fun, like Bridgerton-esque Beauty and the Beast retelling with like fairy tale vibes. And I think this would have been a perfect pick for the winter time. So if you can wait until winter to read that, I would highly recommend it because the setting, like the winter court setting, was just perfect for winter. And like I'm reading it in the spring, so obviously the vibes were there, but I didn't feel as, I guess, engrossed in the story. Like I feel like it would have been even better read during a cozy, stormy winter night. And so if you can do that, I would highly recommend doing that. But overall, it's still a solid story, and I would still highly recommend you read it anytime. But yeah, really loved it. I'm surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it. I will say there is one spicy scene, but it's not super graphic. So that's why the book is categorized as upper YA/new adult. But overall, like as someone who reads spice on the regular, it didn't bother me, but it doesn't get too graphic. I feel like it's adequate for what it is. Just a warning, you can skip ahead ahead, I think, that scene if that's something that you don't want to read, but personally, I did enjoy it. So solid retelling. I'm really glad I did that. So now I'm going to go get ready for bed, but I did want to tell you what I'm going to be picking up next. And it's going to be another ebook, but this time it's going to be an arc of a book that is not yet released, but I'm super excited for. And it's called Worth Fighting For by Jessie Cusatanto. So it's the next book in the Meant to Be series. And I believe this one is coming out mid-June, but I'm super excited because I love Mulan. It's my favorite movie and I am a stan for any retelling. I am always looking forward to reading those. And so I'm very excited to see what's going to be done because so far I've enjoyed the 2 books from the series that I've read. So it's different authors obviously every time, but the 2 that I've read I have enjoyed, including one that I've read in this vlog. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with that. And I think this one is a cowboy romance. I think it's an office place romance as well. There might be like other tropes, but I'm not too sure what the whole setup is about. So once I have started reading, I'll come back and give you a proper synopsis. Alright, so it's been a few days and I have actually finished a book. I was supposed to update you much earlier on, but I'll be honest, I've been very conflicted over this book. I wasn't even sure if I was going to finish it and include it in this vlog because my reading experience with this one hasn't been the greatest, and I don't know if it's because I was hitting kind of a reading slump. I feel like I've been reading so much recently, so I don't know if that's what made me enjoy this one a little bit less or if it's just the book itself. Now, before we dive into my actual review, let me give you an actual synopsis because I don't think I have provided that. So basically the book follows Mulan, and in this one, as you may have noticed, the characters are named the same. So we are keeping the same names from the movie, but we're implementing that in a new storyline. So Mulan works at a accounting firm for her father, who also works in accounting obviously, and she just wants to prove herself and her colleagues that she's worth it. Now, her father becomes ill at the beginning of the book and Mulan has to take over an acquisition that her father was planning on doing. The company that they're trying to acquire is very traditional, let's just say. They want to interact with man, they're targeting man, and so when they find out that Mulan is actually taking over, they know it's not going to go well, and so Mulan pretends to be her father and the whole shenanigan ensues. You know the drill. So I think I'm going to settle on a 3-star rating for this one. I'll be honest, I struggled a lot with this one and I wasn't expecting to because Mulan is my favorite Disney movie. I was expecting to love it and I have enjoyed previous books that I've read from the same author, and so I was super excited to dive into it. I was ready to embrace it, but as soon as I got in, I kind of got the ick. Let me explain. I don't know what it is, but the fact that we kept hitting the nail on the head about Mulan being like fierce and being a girl in a finance bro world, it just started to get annoying. And like I understood why we were kind of going over the same things over and over again at the beginning. Eventually it got tiring, and I feel like Mulan's only personality trait was being a girly in a finance bro universe. Like there was not a lot that was discussed about her likes and dislikes and just her hopes and dreams. The only thing that she kept telling us over and over again is that she was trying to combat all of these stereotypes. And I was just like, okay, we get it. Like, I understand. So can we move on? I don't know. It kind of got repetitive at some point. However, I will admit that I did like some things about this book. The way I'm talking about it now, it sounds like I did not enjoy it, but I did. The first like 30-ish%, I was struggling to get through it. But eventually, once Mulan goes to this ranch, because what I did not mention is that in order for her to prove her worth to this company that she's trying to acquire, she has to go off to this ranch and just help out and show them that she's like manly enough to take on the company. And so once they go off to the ranch and like they do ranch things, I guess, it gets better. It's more entertaining, it's lighter, it's fun, it's even funny sometimes. But I feel like, I don't know, I just didn't love the whole writing part of it. I have read other books by Jessie Cusatanto, as I've mentioned before, and I've enjoyed those a lot. So I was surprised that this one, like the writing really didn't work for me. I don't know if it's just the arc, but I struggled a lot through this storyline. I felt like there was so much that could have been reworked or cut down. The other thing is the romance. Listen, I am a big Shang and Mulan stan. I love them. I think they're the perfect couple. However, in the book, I felt like it was missing something to truly make me root for them in the end, you know? I kind of wanted more from the romance, and unfortunately this one didn't completely work for me. I liked some aspects of it, but I don't know, it kind of fell short. Like in the end, I kind of wanted to root for them more. And I think that's why I'm going to settle on a 3-star rating because, as I said, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed part of it. I'm not saying it's a bad retelling. I'm just saying it's not exactly what I wanted, and that's maybe is a me problem, but Oh well. So that is it for this week's reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was so much fun. Like, I feel like I could definitely do this again because I've definitely enjoyed myself. If I had to pick my favorite thing that I read this week, it would definitely be the Entangled with Fae book. I think this whole series is going to become a new favorite of mine. I have a feeling. So I'm definitely going to be reading more of that in the near future. If you guys have any other recommendations for me, please let me know in the comments down below. And I guess that's it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!